That was great, isn't it?
Yeah, 100.
100. Dadi Janki's 100th birthday.
Perfect, looks
Fantastic.
great.
What a great idea. Golden balloons.
Perfect.
Fantastic, really. Hold on a minute.
This looks all right.
Yeah, it does from our side, mate.
But
if you look from this side...
007?
007. Well, come to think of it, Daddy is a special agent.
Special agent of meditation.
Licensed to chill.
Licensed to chill, but she's also on Her Majesty's service.
No, not on Her Majesty's service. God's service.
Ah, God's service. Anyway.
Okay, enough of that. Should we get these in the right order?
Let's get this right. How do we go?
Get this. I think we're going to put them over here because of those beautiful flowers. We don't want to obscure those. Well, we're obscuring them anyway, but...
There we go. Good.
There we go, 100. I think a round of applause for Daddy's 100th birthday. So, a very warm welcome to everybody here in the auditorium. Also, I believe there's a spillover in the conference hall, so an extra special welcome to you, and thanks for watching on the screen. Hope you can see us okay. And to all the people joining us around the world on webcast, a big welcome wherever you are in the ether. Big welcome to you as well. And I should start by saying a special greeting that we use in the university, which is Om Shanti. What does that mean, Pavan?
Let me say it again. Om Shanti.
Oh yeah, you do it better than me.
Well, I think Om is I am, Shanti, a being of peace, a being of tranquility.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, I think so. It's better than hello.
Oh yeah, hello. Hello is so last century.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much better.
Om Shanti to you all.
So, just a couple of sort of basic house things to get out of the way. Phones, fires, and filming. Phones, fires, and filming. So fires we're hoping not to do at all. In the unlikely event, the ushers will guide you out, but the way you came in, you'll see the fire exits and one special one at the side. If I could ask you to turn your phones off. I just checked mine and it was on full volume, so I just turned it off.
Mine's off.
But it's quite disturbing, so unless you've got a real emergency you're expecting, please turn those off. And if I could ask you no filming, please, because too many flashlights, and me and Pav have very sensitive eyes, so we've really got to avoid that as well, if you can. So, what's next?
We've got a special program today.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have, you're right, yeah, absolutely.
So today we've got the pleasure and the privilege of having a wonderful woman, Dadi Janki.
Amazing soul.
Amazing human being.
So,
she'll be accompanied with Jenti Ben and
Liz Hodgkinson, a long-time friend and also a very accomplished author and journalist. More on that later on though.
Indeed.
Yeah. First of all, I know that you've probably noticed it's pretty hard to miss that we're actually brothers.
Twins.
You see, twins.
Identical twins.
I know, you've obviously seen that already. It's very difficult to tell us apart.
I don't think they're buying it.
No, I don't think they're well, we're spiritual twins anyway.
Definitely brothers.
Definitely brothers. Why is that then?
Well, I think it's because we think Daddy's our mother. She's your mother and she's my mother.
Yeah, she's definitely our mother. Yeah, that's right. We have the same mother. Grandma, definitely. And she's so sweet, look.
Yeah.
So it's amazing really though when we think about tonight's program and just saying a little bit about Daddy, that she's created this amazing atmosphere worldwide.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't know each other 12 years ago, and when you come here there's that feeling of friendship and family.
And that's all because of Daddy. What she carries around with you, the way she engenders everybody, brings people together, the family feeling she brings into everything, it's just magical.
Yeah, and Daddy's been responsible for the expansion of the university outside of India, now every single country of the world.
Amazing.
And it is amazing how it's created that wonderful family feeling and atmosphere, and I hope you're experiencing that now, and will do tonight, I'm sure.
And it needs a powerful soul to be able to do that, to get the whole globe to have this warm, friendly feeling. So I'm sure you'll feel Daddy's power tonight.
So this program, Unshakable Faith, Unbreakable Love, a century of service, where does Daddy get her power from?
Well, you know, watching Daddy, knowing a bit about her, I think it's all about her divinity.
Her divinity, yeah, that makes sense.
No, divinity.
Yeah, you mean God?
God, that's it.
God, yeah, let's get it out there.
So Daddy, as her best friend, has God. And by doing so, if Daddy has God, her best friend, and Daddy's all our best friends, makes us God our best friend as well.
Yeah, and we can all be best friends, right? We're all family.
I think so.
We're all brothers. Okay, well, enough from us, just for now. We'll be back. But we have a wonderful slide showing pull my teeth back in, showing some incredible moments of Daddy's 100 years, her century of service. So please enjoy the slideshow. images there, yeah?
You can see how Daddy has travelled the world, gone to different parts of the world, met different people, and how she's brought everybody together.
Yeah.
So I think we should invite...
I think we should.
Yeah, let's get Dadi Janki.
Invite Dadi Janki and Sister Genti and Liz
join us on stage. So Genti Ben has been the European director and has travelled with Dadi Janki all over across the world for many, many years. And you can see with Genti Ben, she has the same kind of power, the same kind of feeling, and the way she can bring people together as well. I've noticed that in Genti Ben, spending all that time. And the book itself, A Century of Service, has stories about people who have done service with Dadi Janki across the world. And it's quite an insightful book. It's a different angle, more than we expect to normally see.
Yeah, it's very personal, isn't it? Because Liz, who's interviewing Daddy this evening, has known Daddy as a friend for 30 years now.
30 years.
And so it's a very intimate look into Daddy's life, interviews with a lot of people who've worked very closely with Daddy. And Liz is, of course, also a very accomplished author and journalist. She's written many books on spirituality before.
Yeah, I think about 30 to 50 books, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Very, very big number.
It's quite a few, that's for sure. So I think they're about to come on now.
Liz?
There is a special delivery coming, quite right for a special agents that we have here tonight.
We've got Roshni.
Sister Roshni has a special box that she's going to give to Liz, containing, I wonder what's inside. I think we're going to find out. Ah, beautiful book. Dadi Janki, A Century of Service.
Service.
Which I'm now going to present to the subject of this book. And I'm going to open it on no particular page. Is it in Hindi? It's in Hindi. It's English, is it?
It's English.
It's not English.
Yes.
Is it? Oh, so I need my reading glasses. Yeah. The reason I thought it might be in Hindi, because I can't put my reading glasses on because I've got the microphone on, is because it's actually being translated into Hindi, so anybody who wants a Hindi copy will soon be able to have one. Shall I start? Well, it's fantastic to see so many people here on Dadi Janki's 100th birthday, her centenary. And looking at this, my name's Liz Hodgkinson. I'm the author of Daddy's official biography, authorised biography, I should say. Just looking at the slideshow, Daddy has met, you can see for yourself, Daddy has met all sorts of famous people from all over the world, from rock stars to royalty to heads of state to spiritual leaders to kings and queens to influential and powerful people, men and women from all over the world. We saw her with Mother Teresa, the Pope, Robin Gibb, huge variety of people. And fatefully, Daddy has also met me. And I just want to share, for people who may not know the backstory, how I came to meet Daddy and how it all happened in the first place, how I came to write this book, how I came to know Daddy, and how I came to appreciate exactly what she's achieved and how she's managed to do it in the face of quite a lot of challenges and adversity, which you wouldn't guess to see her ever smiling. But anyway, it was in 1981. I was a young journalist, well, not that young, but youngish, and I was writing for a lot of newspapers and magazines at the time, including a very avant-garde magazine at the time called She. And I had been commissioned by She magazine to write an article about the Brahma Kumaris, and the interest for this women's magazine was that uniquely as far as I knew at the time, it was the only spiritual organization of any size or influence that was actually run by women. And because most spiritual and religious organizations have got men at their head, obviously this was something very different. And so I went along with my notebook to a little house that they had in Kew, which was near where I lived in Richmond at the time, and did the interview. As far as I was concerned, that was that. Well, 35 years later, I'm still not only in touch, but I've also lost my husband to the BKs. Should I say he went willingly? Also, I can say that I think from that first time that I didn't meet Dadi Janki on that particular occasion. Genti was there, and one or two other sisters, and I thought there's something very, very special about these people. I didn't really know who they were. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't know anything about the beliefs or the knowledge or any history, but I just felt there was something very, very special. And Genti asked if we would like to take, and my then husband Neville, who has been a BK himself for many years, he was with me for the interview, which normally wouldn't happen, but he came along, and Genti asked if we'd like to take the 7-day course. Well, life was never the same again. Never, I can say that, never the same again. Everything changed. And I didn't become a BK myself, but I remained close and I remained very supportive because I liked what they were doing and I liked what they were trying to achieve. This evening, I'm going to try to ask Dadi Janki, because I spent the last 18 months studying Dadi Janki and trying to find out where she's come from, how she did it, and what are the secrets of starting an organization in the West from scratch? Because when she came to London in the mid-1970s, there was no BK movement, there were no centres, there was absolutely nothing. Now look at it. beautiful halls all over the world, wonderful centres, many people very supportive, centres all over the world. A lot of that has been through the vision and courage and determination of this little lady here who seems just to smile at people, but inside there's always a lot going on. So the first question I would like to ask Dadi Janki, and apologies for anyone who listened to this last night in Leicester. We may be going over some of the same ground, but it bears repeating. At least I hope so. It gets more interesting each time. I'd like to ask Dadi Janki now, when she came to London, a cold, grey country she'd never visited before, did she, in her wildest dreams, ever think that in 2016 that this would have been achieved, that the beautiful halls, the beautiful centres, the influence that the Brahma Kumaris has had all over the country, the fact, and all over many other countries, the fact that there is a presence in, I would say, virtually every country now in the world, and including the Middle East, which is, as you know, not a very easy region for people of a Hindu faith to penetrate, but she's even managed the Middle East. And so, first question I'd like to ask Dadi is, did she ever imagine that she would sit here, 100 years old, and see this?
You want an answer?
Well, that's why I asked the question, yes.
प्रश्न पूछा
आपको पता होगा, इतना पता तुमने रखा है, मैं देख रही हूँ.
I see that you know a lot about me.
मैं कहेंगे कमाल उस बाप की है
I would say it's the wonder of
जिसने ये
that
सब
father.
ये खेल चल रहा है.
And so he created this whole game. I'm seeing this
उसमें
whole
मैं
game.
तुम्हारे साथ फ्रेंडली होकर के रहूं, ये तो नई बात है, मेरे लिए तो नई बात.
And it was a new thing for me to have friendship with you.
परंतु मुझे बाबा ने कहा था, तुम सिर्फ शांत रहो, खुश रहो.
But Baba had told me many years ago, just remain peaceful and just remain
अचानक
happy.
ही पता नहीं किसने मेरा फोटो निकाला. ये
Somebody took a photograph of me with my hand raised in this way.
वो मेरे सिटिंग रूम में रखा है.
Dadi's got that
जो
photo
भी
in
देखता है
India
ना,
in a sitting room.
ये सिर्फ न्यारा बन के परमात्मा सर्वशक्तिवान से क्या क्या सेवाएं हुई है, उनके द्वारा हुई है, पर निमित्त बनाया है.
Yes.
मेरे को अपना फ्रेंड बनाने के लिए, मेरा वो फ्रेंड हो गया.
As a detached observer, I can say that he's the one, the Almighty, who made so much happen, but it's my good fortune that he made me an instrument, and in the process of making me an instrument, he also made me his friend.
ये सीक्रेट बताते हो.
This is the secret.
This,
उसको
well, this is
वो जो
the,
है ना ऊपर वाला,
The one
ऊपर
above,
वाला, वो अपन को न्यारा रखता है.
he keeps himself detached.
वो तो मेरे जैसे भोले भोले उसको अपना बना करके ये सब खेल रचा है.
And he made innocent one like me become his instrument and did all of this, made this game happen.
वो पहले लंदन में आई हूँ, और ये दो बहनें ये शशि और रेवा खड़ी हो जाओ, पहली स्टूडेंट है 10th फ्लोर में. ये कहते हैं हम सुबह वो क्लास में आएंगे.
Shashiban was the first one who said, yes, I'm going to come to class every day in Tennyson Road. And a bit later, Reva Ben joined her sister.
That's wonderful. Yes, I'm sure that God did look down on Dadi Janki and say this is the ideal instrument. But even so, even when you choose an instrument, as the BKs call these people who they feel are chosen by God, you've still got to work hard. And as far as I was concerned, in the 1970s, very different society from how it is today. The next question I want to ask Dadi is how she managed to attract Westerners, people who were not of a Hindu or Indian background, and for whom the ideas that the Brahma Kumaris were talking about at the time were very, very new. Most of us had never heard of karma. We use the word all the time now, bad karma. It's entered the language. In the 1970s, it was a word that very few people had even heard of. We didn't really know anything about reincarnation. We knew it was a strange Eastern belief, but as far as Westerners were concerned, we didn't really know anything about it. We didn't know anything about the teachings. Christianity, Judaism, the Western religions are very, very different. So the next question I'd like to ask Dadi is how she managed to cross the barrier between coming into the country as a already fairly elderly Indian lady. I believe I'm right, she'd never even met a Westerner before, let alone been to the West. What was the secret, what was the magic, what was the trick by which she began to attract Westerners, English people, Australian people, American people, to the initial meetings of the Brahma Kumaris, some of whom, and I can see one in the audience now, some of whom were very, very early people who came along and are still, or have now become pillars of the organization. So what was the magic by which she crossed that cultural and religious and spiritual barrier?
Culture का सब barriers को दूर करके अपनों को नजदीक ला सके.
बहन,
sister,
आप क्वेश्चन पूछ रही हो.
it's a good
मैं
question.
भी साखी होकर के, साखी माना ही क्या है?
As a detached observer, what does it mean to be a detached observer?
नॉलेज का सार है.
There's
ये
the
हर आत्मा है. परमात्मा सर्वशक्तिवान है.
There's the understanding that the essence of knowledge is that each and everyone is a soul and we're all the children of the one.
मेरे दिल के अंदर ये भावना, जैसे भगवान ने मुझे जीवन की वैल्यू का अनुभव कराया है, ऐसे सब करे, ये संकल्प साकार हो गया है.
The deep feeling was that just as God has made me realize the value of human life, I would like each and everyone to experience the value of their own life, and that one thought has taken practical shape.
आपको कभी ये सपना था तो आप मेरी फ्रेंड बनेंगी, ऐसे सभा में हाजिर होंगे.
Did you ever dream that you would become a friend with someone like me and be in such a gathering?
देखा है. सुन मेरी बात पूरी करना. मेरी बात ठहरो ना, नहीं पूरी करो ना.
There's something more that he wants to say.
तुम सुनो, तेरा ही मिसाल है, ऐसे अनेकों का मिसाल है.
You're an example, and so there's many other examples.
चलते फिरते कहाँ भी मिले, मुस्कुराया.
Whatever was the reason that brought us together, we would meet with a smile.
ये मुस्कुराहट मनुष्य में नवीनता लाता है.
Just a smile is able to bring newness in life.
पराई बात, पुरानी बात, सुनना बोलना लाइफ की वैल्यू नहीं है.
When I listen to old stories, when I listen to things of other people, it takes away the value of my own life.
Detached and loving nature. ठीक है? बहन दोनों इंग्लिश करना.
Okay, so both are English words, detached and loving.
रहो, loving nature.
Be detached but have a loving nature.
Daddy asked if, threw my own question back at me, to ask if I imagined that I would be sitting here 35 years later talking to Daddy on this platform, and of course the answer has to be no. But what I would say is that I did have the very strong feeling when we first met at that little house in Kew that life would never be the same again. And I'm saying that from somebody who had spent a little time earlier investigating some of the Eastern movements that were beginning to take hold in the West, and I didn't like any of them. They didn't speak to me, they didn't resonate with me. But when I went, and as I said, I didn't meet Daddy first of all, I only met her later, but I did have that very strong feeling that life would never be the same again. In that I was proved right. But I also, this really brings me on to my next question, or the next topic that I'd like to Daddy to talk about. How much does she think that for the earliest Westerners who came, who were all very young at the time, and several of them were wandering hippies, squatters, not influential people, just young people backpacking in those days, and now, of course, they're in their 60s and running countries, some of them. How much did Daddy think that it was the strength of the vibrations which attracted the earliest Westerners to the Brahma Kumaris, and how much does she think it possibly was the secret of the attraction to myself and to Neville, who was... Well, he picked up the vibrations much quicker than I did, but I picked up the knowledge quicker than he did. So, so we completed each other, if you like. So, just to repeat that, how much does Daddy think it was the actual vibrations that were powerful, rather from what anything was actually being said?
Vibrations की शक्ति ने काम किया, या कहाँ तक जो शब्दों में ज्ञान सुनाते थे उसने काम किया जादू का?
मीठी बहन, मैं मीठी बहन कहती हूँ.
Sweet sister.
मेरे साथ ऐसा छेवा साथी मिले, ये किसकी लीला उसकी.
I found
उसने तेरे को टच किया.
I found wonderful service companions like you, and it was his touching.
टचिंग ने तुमको शक्ति दी है सारी सभा से मेरे से interview लेना.
And it's surely his power that's giving you the strength to be able to interview me in front of this gathering now.
ये भी प्रभु लीला जो इंग्लिश बहन कोई भारतवासी ने भी कभी मेरे से ऐसे लेन देन नहीं किया.
It's amazing that an English sister should be questioning me in this way. I don't remember an Indian sister questioning me like this.
Well, I think that just to put it into a personal perspective, and this will bring me on to my next question, all of the other Indian movements and groups that I investigated or maybe spent an evening with every single one, it was a male guru, a man at the head, and very often a very charismatic, educated Indian as well. And before long, in the 1960s and 70s, when a lot of Indian gurus came over to the West, they started off by being quite poor and just having very ordinary premises. But before long, the gurus themselves became rich and famous, and they, you've all heard of the Maharishi, who the Beatles followed, and they became very very kind of pleased with themselves, if you like, with wearing robes and living in very expensive places, driving very expensive cars. This has never happened with the Brahma Kumaris, and that is, to me, one of the main attractions. But that's not all. I think at the heart of it, what I'd really like to ask Dadi is, how much does she think the fact that this organisation, movement, whatever you like to call it, has always been led by women, has women at the head, how much difference does she think this has made in attracting people to the organisation, and how much difference has it made to the way the organisation has grown?
सुनो, वैसे स्थूल में देखा जाए भाइयों का जो फोर्स होता है,
on the external level, brothers, men have a lot of force, and they suppress women with that.
बाबा ने ऐसी शक्ति दी जो हमारे भाई लोग, हमने भाई समझा है हर एक भाई को.
But God gave women so much inner strength that we were able to see men as our brothers.
शुरू में जब हम यहाँ आई तो पहला स्टूडेंट डेनिस निकली है.
When I first came here, Denise Ben was the first
पहला स्टूडेंट. इसने कोर्स करते, जयंती कोर्स करा रही थी, तो इसके दिल में था मैं जयंती जैसी बन जाऊं. फट से चेंज हो गई, ड्रेस चेंज किया, सब कुछ चेंज किया, घर भी चेंज कर दिया.
Even as she was taking the course, she was very inspired and she wanted to have a life like this, and so she changed everything very, very quickly. Her dress, her home, her lifestyle.
इतनी ऐसे अंदर ही अंदर पुरुषार्थ ऐसा करती रही, तो जयंती अचानक प्रोग्राम बना करेबियन में जाने का. ये करेबियन में सेवा ये शुरू करने चली गई. ये ऐसा बड़ी शशि भी थी, परंतु इंग्लिश बहन, ये और वाडी अमेरिका में बैठी है, ये यहाँ बैठी है. ये चारों ओर सेवा करे. जो पहले सारे विश्व में चक्कर लगाने का, सेवा करने का, पता नहीं कैसे कैसे ब्रह्मा बनता रहा.
Daddy sent me to the Caribbean, and Sister Denise was here, then she was helping Daddy. Then Sister Wadi came along, so she is serving in America, and Denise been here, for she travels the world serving. And so there have been amazing instruments who've been serving all around, and it's incredible how it's all happened.
It's incredible, but I think Daddy must have had a gift of picking people, or of seeing something in these early people who came to the centre, which was not really a very nice centre in those days, just two little dark rooms in a basement in London. She must have seen something in these people that maybe they didn't see themselves, because what she has done, and I know this from interviewing a lot of people for the book, both in people from an Indian background and from a Western background, that Daddy somehow saw something in them that they hadn't seen themselves, and gave them the courage to do things they would never have thought were possible. And although Daddy always deflects any praise away from herself and says that it's all to do with God, my feeling on having researched the book and talked to a lot of people over the last year or so is that Daddy has a unique gift for picking the right people and sending them to the right places. Maybe Daddy would like to comment on that and give us a little bit more enlightenment on how she manages to choose the right people.
कैसे आप लोग right person को ढूंढते हैं सेवा के लिए?
मैं बहन कहती हूँ, तुमको कशिश होती है?
When I say my sister, do you feel that power?
The thing is that I just can't sort of refuse Daddy. That's the problem, and I just wonder whether other people have that feeling, and if there's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of hypnosis.
अभी तुम्हारे ये कौन सी शक्ति तुम्हारे ऊपर काम कर रही है जो तुम्हारे अंदर ऐसे क्वेश्चन सभा के बीच में पूछने का?
There's definitely a special power that's working on you that's making you ask these very interesting questions.
कई भाई बहन ऐसे बैठे हैं जिसको मुझे बड़ी खुशी हो रही है, तुम ही बाप को प्रत्यक्ष करने के निमित्त बनी हो और मेरे को कहते तू रेस्ट कर.
It's wonderful that you're an instrument to reveal God and you're now letting me rest. Rest is best.
The other thing that struck me when I was researching the book is that although Daddy came from a very traditional background, an Indian background, and had no real contact with the West until she came here, in very many ways she was ahead of her time. And I have picked up quite a lot of things where Daddy led the way. Firstly, women being spiritual leaders. When Daddy came here in the 1970s, we may forget now, but in Christianity there were no women vicars or priests. It was not allowed by law. There were no women Jewish rabbis. I believe, I'm not absolutely 100%, but I believe also it was not allowed by law. And yet there were several Indian ladies at the time leading spiritual gatherings which had not happened in the West, which was everybody thought was ahead of India, that India was more backward than the West and that we were more advanced. Now, of course, there are many women priests and vicars and even bishops in Christianity. I think there are almost at the sort of entry level more rabbis, women rabbis, than men. But that's new, and Daddy led the way, but it wasn't just in the spiritual or the overtly spiritual sense where Daddy led the way. She also led the way having your rooms painted white. I don't know whether everyone remembers the 70s. It was all orange and brown, psychedelic colours and patterns everywhere. That was how it was in the 70s. And Daddy started paint. Now, everybody's got white rooms. I've got a completely white flat. Daddy was there before anyone else. And even down to things like this, there was a lot of attention paid to detail. Another area where Daddy was there before anyone else is decluttering. We've all heard of decluttering now. You can hire a professional declutterer to come and declutter your home. It's true. Daddy would never need a professional declutterer because her homes and spaces were never cluttered. And this is another way, in my view, that Daddy has led the way, that she said that your space, your home, must always be welcoming and free of clutter. Whoever you welcome, whether it's the highest or the lowest, it must always be ready, clean and smart to welcome people. Daddy was there 20 or 30 years before anyone's caught up with it. Now people are making money out of all these things. So what I wanted to say is that Daddy was she was so ahead of her time in so many ways. And didn't let anything stop her. That's the thing I find most impressive, that she never gave up, she never worried about not having any money, never worried about big projects. She's always thought big, and that's really why these big centres have happened, because Daddy has thought big, while a lot of people just think small and think, oh, I'm nervous. No, I haven't got the money for that. I can't meet Prince Charles. I'll be too nervous. None of that seems to have ever entered Daddy's mind. So I just asked Daddy, does she ever get nervous or afraid?
मेरी बहन मेरा नाम नहीं लो, दादी दादी नहीं करो, तेरे को ये टचिंग कौन कर रहा है?
Okay, so dear sister, don't keep saying Dadi, 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 because it's definitely the one above who's inspiring you and making everything happen. Yesterday and today.
मैं सब्बा के बीच में बोलती हूँ, दिन में मेरी तबीयत ऐसी थी,
in the afternoon,
शाम को 6 बजे ठीक हुई है.
I had a lot of pain, physical pain, but by the evening, 6 o'clock, I was well.
मैं ये सब परमात्मा सर्वशक्तिवान है.
God is truly the Almighty Authority.
कितनी शक्ति दे करके
and He gives me
अपना
power.
नाम वाला कर रहा है. मेरा क्या है?
And
मेरा नाम वाला नहीं.
He's revealing Himself. It's no glory of mine, but it's His glory.
Yes, well, I have to accept that. But of course, another thing about Daddy, which I've really learned since I've been researching the book about her, is that you might imagine, if you didn't know her, that someone who reaches the age of 100 has conquered so many different countries, travelled all over the world. Even last year, at the age of 99, she travelled to many countries. You'd imagine perhaps that somebody who has achieved all this has always been in extremely good health. In fact, the opposite is true. Daddy has suffered serious illness for most of her life, not all the time, but she's suffered bouts of very serious illness. And I think probably one of the greatest things she teaches us about health is the power of mind over matter. And so I'd like to ask Daddy if she'd like to comment on the power of mind. She said just now she was in a lot of pain this afternoon, but now, I don't know whether she's telling the truth, of course, but now she says it's gone, or at least it's gone enough for her to take this platform tonight. So, you know, there's a lot of illness around these days. There's a lot of emphasis on health. There's a lot of emphasis on medical treatments, medical intervention, and people are very worried about their health, especially as they get older. But how much a part does mind over matter play in continuing, maybe not always so much in good health, but in continuing to bounce back all the time from ill health?
मन को शक्ति भी आती है जब नहीं तो मन भगवान कहते हैं मन मेरे में लगा तो मन नहीं लगने देता है. मन अपनी अपनी बातें करता है.
God keeps telling us to stay focused on one, but the mind plays mischief and plays games.
Did you?
ये 4 सब्जेक्ट है हमारे.
We have 4
पढ़ाई
subjects:
में ज्ञान,
knowledge,
योग,
yoga,
धारणा,
practical
सेवा.
application, service.
ज्ञान माना
Knowledge means
मैं कौन, मेरा कौन.
to know
ये
who
अंगुली
I
है ना.
am and who belongs to me.
मैं
The finger
आत्मा
points to
हूँ.
the self, I'm a soul.
तो न दिखाई पड़ती है न संबंध दिखाई पड़ता.
Then I'm not aware of the body
इतना
or physical relations
practical.
in a very practical way.
फिर सबके साथ व्यवहार में आते, ये भी ड्रामा है। मैं कहती हूँ सभी शहरों में, चाइना में, जापान में, इधर उधर, अकेली अकेली, ब्राज़ील में अकेली अकेली कैसे जाती थी।
And it was a wonder.
अंदर आत्मा को परमात्मा की शक्ति कैसे मिल रही है, उनसे वो सेवा हुई है। और धारणा ये है, वो दूसरी बात धारणा की सुनाती हूँ, तभी सेवा हुई है।
And because the mind is linked with God, the soul was able to receive power with which to be able to travel far, far away on my own, Brazil, China, Japan, and so on. But it was that power that was helping. And there's another practical thing.
धारणा में हिम्मत है।
And in practical life, I always maintained courage.
पता नहीं बहुत काम किया है हिम्मत ने।
Courage has given a lot of help.
क्यों हिम्मत है बच्चे मदद है बाप, और ये अनुभव है लाइफ में।
My life experiences that my courage brings help from the Father.
और सच्ची दिल है, साहिब राजी है मेरे ऊपर।
And when the heart is honest, I know that the Lord is pleased with me.
कहता है न कभी नाराज होना, न किसको नाराज करना।
And he says, never be displeased, but never cause displeasure.
कभी भी लिज नाराज होने से शक्ल ऐसी हो जाती है।
What happens to each one's face if you're displeased?
और कोई कोई प्रोग्राम में हजारों, दिल्ली में हजारों के प्रोग्राम।
Here we see hundreds, and in Delhi I see thousands.
60,000 लोग थे।
In fact, at a recent program, there were 60,000 people.
मुझे सच्ची दिल पर साहिब राजी, ऐसे बैठ जाती हूँ या खड़ी हो जाती हूँ।
And so whether I sit or whether I stand, it's in silence and
कभी
remembrance
आप
of
मुझे
God.
पेंसिल डायरी नहीं देखेंगे।
You wouldn't have seen me with a pencil and notebook in my hands.
Oh, unlike me.
जो मैं नोट्स लूँ,
I don't take notes.
मुझे क्या बोलना है कुछ।
I don't
बहुत
write
समय
notes
से।
about what I'm going to speak.
और तेरे मुख से निकला बुद्धि बेहद में है।
And you mentioned earlier that the intellect has been thinking big, unlimited.
कैसे बुद्धि भगवान
Unlimited.
बेहद में ले जाता है, जैसे खुद निर्वाण धाम, परम धाम में रहते हुए सभी आत्माओं का कल्याण करने की।
Just as God is unlimited, He makes us unlimited. He stays up above in the land of nirvana, the land of silence, and yet His concern is to bring benefit and upliftment to all of us.
चाहता है दुनिया में विकारों के कारण दुख बहुत है। विकार पांचों विकार है ना, काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, अहंकार, इसी कारण दुख है।
And He tells us that the cause of sorrow is lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego.
जब पहले मैं टेंशन ऊपर थी, नाम मुझे भूल गया है, एक बुजुर्ग लेडी आती थी, वो कभी कहते मैं रात को रहूँ यहाँ, तो हमारे अंदर जो रूम थी ना, वहाँ सो जाते थे। सिर्फ उसको ये बाल कटवाने के लिए जाना पड़ता था ना, कहती थी मुझे ये काम में बाल कैसे। मैंने कहा ये तो माया है ना, मेरे को कभी ये बाल को ऐसे करना है।
Early days in Tennyson Road, there was an old lady who would come and stay with her sometimes, and the only thing that made her feel it was a difficult life was because Dadi doesn't have any fashion and no concern about hairstyles, and she would always want to go out and get her hair done.
What's wrong with that, Daddy? I go and get my hair done.
यहाँ इंग्लैंड में ये अभी तो भारत में भी हो गया है.
कहती है परंतु ये तो सिंपल बात है ना, बाल कटवाना. मैं भी तो बाल कटवाती हूँ, मैं भी बाल को ठीक कराती हूँ. क्या कह रहे हैं? ये तो सिंपल बात है, बालों को ठीक कराना. मैं भी जाकर के बाल कटवाती हूँ.
मैं कहती हूँ ये भी टाइम वेस्ट है ना, मनी वेस्ट है.
You have to translate.
नहीं, वेस्ट ऑफ मनी, वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम.
You'll have to translate.
ऐसे भारत में भी जो कुमारियों को ज्ञान दिया, पहले मैं बैठ के बाल बनाना सीखा.
When in the early days in India, sisters would surrender, one of the first things I would do was to teach them simplicity in hairstyles.
और मोरन को सदाई, मोरन ने कभी ड्रेस चेंज नहीं किया. पता भी नहीं है डेविड उसका हस्बैंड है.
Maureen also has been always simple since the day she came and detached from her husband.
Well, yes, I mean, we could spend another 2 hours talking about hairstyles. Well, I could anyway. But just on the more serious point, I think another way that Dadi and the Brahma Kumaris have shown the way to the rest of us is really how to live simply. And how to live simply means that you don't have so many. You just don't accumulate so many possessions. You don't even want them. And in fact, that's something that Daddy taught me, that I don't need to accumulate lots of possessions. Then they're not really going to enhance my life. And every time I move, I've got to take them with me, or sell them, or decide what to do with them. And now people are very much coming round to that way of thinking, and that we've actually, most of us, at least in the West, we've got far too many possessions, and we hoard them and we collect them. These are things that Daddy has never done. So she's shown us how to live simply, but always, and I think to me this is really at the heart of Dadi Janki's power, that she sets, before anything else, she sets an example. She lives in the way that she would like other people to live, to maximize their meditation power, to maximize their connection with God. But first and foremost, she does it herself. And to me, that is at the heart of what Dadi Janki is all about. But before I let her speak again, I'd just like to say that this is something I also mentioned last night, and I think it's very, very important that in leadership circles, there's a term called the big D, distraction. And what it means is that people who don't achieve what they should achieve, or don't achieve their potential, are people who become distracted by things, whatever that might be. This is something that's never happened to Daddy. She, as far as I'm aware, she's never been distracted, and she has carried her vision and her goal always before her without letting anything else come in the way. So I really, if Daddy has got anything to add on the importance of not being distracted and of being totally dedicated to achieve what she's achieved in whatever field you might want to excel, dedication and not being distracted. So how important are those two things, Daddy?
सुनो बहन, तुम मेरे साथ रही भी नहीं है.
You haven't actually lived with me.
कभी सुनो.
I think that might be a bit of a challenge.
अभी जो कल और आज टाइम दिया, कैसे तुम्हें बैठ करके ये कैच करके बोल रही हो?
But you've managed to capture the essence of what Dadi is, and you're sharing that.
ये कैचिंग पावर कहाँ से आई है तेरे को?
Where did you get this ability, this catching power?
बोलो बाबा से आइए
I spent the last
बोलो
eight.
बाबा से आइए
That he wants you to acknowledge that it's come from God.
Well,
मेरे
I
को
don't
इतनी
know. I
खुशी
mean,
हुई है
I
तो
can't.
इंग्लिश फैन होकर के
I've got to have some good material, Daddy, to
Hey.
write about. You know, I can't just
मेरे
write about
दिल की
nothing.
बातों को तो फिर कैच करके सबको सुना रही हो
You've caught the essence and you're sharing it
दादी
with
दादी नहीं
others.
करो
But no need to say Dadi, Dadi, Dadi.
बाबा बाबा की जो टीचिंग है ना वंडरफुल है
God's teachings are wonderful.
But also, Daddy has never got bored. I mean, she's just as enthusiastic now as she was when I first met her.
हाँ
दादी कभी बोर नहीं होती है दादी बोर नहीं होती है
हाँ
सदा दादी में उमंग होता है
हाँ
जब मैं दादी से पहले मिली थी दादी का उमंग जितना था आज भी मैं देखती हूँ दादी का इतना ही उमंग है
हिम्मत और उमंग में क्या फर्क है तो बता
What's the difference between courage and
बहुत
enthusiasm?
अच्छी बात
Well, I think courage is one thing. It does show people the way, but enthusiasm is infectious, and I think that is the difference. If people see or experience somebody being very enthusiastic, that often fires the other people up as well. Courage doesn't always do that. It's often an individual thing, but enthusiasm definitely is. Well, there's a word now which is overused now, which a lot of manufacturers and companies use, passionate. We're passionate about yogurt, we're passionate about sandwiches, and what they're trying to convey to the buying public is their enthusiasm for their product. And I think, again, we can say Daddy has always shown a lot of enthusiasm for her product. And that is infectious. That communicates itself to other people.
का जो उमंग है वो औरों में भी उमंग पैदा करता
तो तुम बहुत अच्छी एक एक शब्द जो बोल रही हो सुनो हिम्मत होवे उमंग न होवे तो बरकत भगवान की नहीं मिलती है दूसरी बात है उमंग होवे उत्साह नहीं होवे उमंग उत्साह फर्क है उमंग है हाँ हाँ ठीक है पर उत्साह करा देता है करता सकते हैं
Yes, we need to have courage and enthusiasm to make something happen. And then you need not just enthusiasm, but you need zeal and enthusiasm. You can get enthusiastic about something, but maybe it won't happen. But you need the zeal to make it happen also.
Well, of course.
And एक बात सुनाओ
Something more.
आज लिस्टर में सारा हार फुल था
This morning also in
जो
Leicester,
कल था
it was
कल दूसरे आज सारे मिडलैंड से आए थे
the whole family from the Midlands had come.
But there's also I mean, you might think that because Daddy's connection with God is so strong, she's always sort of up there. But actually, she's very down to earth and practical. And since I've been talking to people who have been at the heart of the Brahma Kumaris, I've realised how nothing is too small to escape Daddy's attention. I mean, even I think when this centre was being built, there was some question about where to put the radiators, and to put them in one place was going to be much more expensive, but it was going to be a much better decision. And although Daddy wasn't necessarily a radiator expert, she said, let's go for the more expensive option, because in the end that will be the better option. So even for things like that she may not know about, she pays attention to. And I think that's another thing that is, if you like, a secret of how she's managed to make this organisation grow. It's a combination of thinking big plus attention to what some people will consider tiny details. Would you agree with that, Daddy?
आपको ये लगता है कि ये ठीक है?
मेरी बहन सच्ची दिल है, साहब राजी है। ये तो जब ये बनना शुरू हुआ तभी हमारे पास 1 लाख पाउंड नहीं था, बोला कम से कम 4 मिलियन चाहिए।
You're reminding Dadi of the whole story of this house, and it must be that because the heart has been honest, the Lord is pleased, because we needed a place, and so when we started thinking about this, we had just less than £100,000.
थोड़ा वो शुरू किया, वहाँ बाबा का फोटो रखा।
We started off getting this place, and we kept
कोई भाई को कहा या बहन को कहा
a meditation room, and Dadi arranged for a few brothers and sisters to come and meditate here every day. And so the workers began the work, but the meditation started at the same time. And it was amazing the whole way the house happened. I was a detached observer.
इतना हाल बनेगा, ये करेगा, परंतु जो पहले ये रिसेप्शन है ना, वो बाबा साकार में जब था तो वो सीढ़ी और नीचे मिलना वो इतना पावरफुल था, तो हम भी वहाँ उस एरिया को, उस सीढ़ी को बड़ा महत्व दिया।
The reception area is a very special area in this house because it reminds me of the place when we were in Karachi, and there was an entrance there and the staircase, and so whenever I see this it reminds me of those days, and so reception area is a very powerful place.
Well, reception areas are very important as well because that's people's first impression. I think I'm getting signals now that it's time to wrap up, so I'd like to say thank you for Dadi for answering the questions, and the book A Century of Service, which is, as I say, the official biography of Dadi from when she arrived in the West. I haven't really gone very much into the Indian story because a lot of that's in my other book, Peace and Purity. So it's really how she conquered the West, and I think you'll find it a very interesting story. So I'd now like to hand over back to Matthew.
I think what we could do is have a few minutes of meditation now.
Sorry, Janki, of course. Yeah. 5 minutes meditation.
When East and West come together, then everything is the best.
East ka, West ka. Dunya ka koi kona nahi raha hai.
Otherwise, East is one place, West is another place, but things come together. But now there's...
I think we can say that's been achieved.
Abhi aap in jaisi dozen ben jaye to.
If there were a dozen sisters like you, what would happen? Not much. You've got to persuade me to have a simple hairstyle first. You'll be touched automatically. But that's fine. You can stay as you are.
ऐसी तुम्हारे में वो आकर्षण हो सच्चाई और प्रेम के जो अंदर दिलों के अंदर चली जावे.
But let there be such honesty and love in your heart that it touches the hearts of others.
तो मैं कहेंगी तुम बाबा का right hand है मैं left hand हूँ.
And then I will say that you're God's right hand and I'm His left hand.
Wonderful. By ये right hand है मेरे को right बैठी है.
Well, I am left-handed.
You're sitting on my right now.
ये left में बैठी है, परंतु देख रही है. चलो मेरे को स्टेज पर लाने में ये निमित्त है ट्रांसलेशन के कारण, परंतु उसने ऊपर वाले ने अभी आप सब शक्ति खींचो, कौन सी शक्ति है?
And so you're sitting on the right and she's on the
जो
left.
लाइट बनाती है, माइट देती है.
But let each one take such power from above, take that light, that might from God.
इतने लाइट.
So light,
शरीर है,
there's a body, but still light.
मैं हूँ आत्मा, मेरा है परमात्मा.
I am a soul and it's God who belongs to me.
बाकी ये सब कौन है?
And so who is everyone here?
उसके है, उसके.
They belong to the
मानो
one.
न मानो,
Whether somebody
पर मानना ही
accepts
पड़ा
or
है.
not, but at some point there's this realization.
मैं उसकी हूँ, वो मेरा है.
I belong to him, he belongs to me.
भगवान मेरा साथी है.
God is my
वो कहते हैं
companion.
तुम सब ऐसे रहो.
And he says, just sit comfortably.
स्वीट साइलेंस में रहो.
In sweet silence.
तो साइलेंस स्वीट बनाती है या स्वीट साइलेंस?
Does silence make us become sweet or is silence sweet? योग करें अभी? अभी योग करें?
सुनो, कोई एक या बहन भाई बतावे आज के दिन जो मेरे फ्रेंड ने मेरे से रूढ़ जान की, उनको अच्छा लगा.
सभी कहते हैं बहुत अच्छा लगा.
बहुत अच्छा लगा. तो फिर मैं
Okay, Dadi was asking, does anybody want to tell me, a brother or a sister, did you enjoy this conversation with my sister? Did you take inspiration from that? And those who understand Hindi were saying, yes, we took a lot. And so, did you find that it's easy to follow the path of knowledge? And if you find all these things easy to understand and accept, then carry away one thing.
अपने मनन चिंतन को, मन में जो ख्यालात आती है वो देखो. चिंतन ऐसे हो, कोई चिंता नहीं.
Let your food and drink be pure, and let the thoughts in your mind, the things that you reflect on, also be pure and elevated.
वो श्रेष्ठ संकल्प गुप्त सेवा करता है.
Those pure, elevated thoughts will serve in an incognito way.
मुझे इस बारी भारत यहाँ वंडर लगा है. जो ज्ञान हमारा ही बाबा का 40 साल पहले भारत यहाँ थोड़ा मानने में टाइम लगाते थे, अभी टाइम नहीं लगाते.
What I've found amazing is that whether in Bharat, India or here, things that people used to find difficult to understand 40 years ago, now they understand very easily and accept them very easily.
ज्ञान को सहज कर दिया, लाइफ में लाया है.
Knowledge is easy, and when you put it in practice in your life, it makes it easy for others too.
औरों को मिसाल दे करके बन करके प्रेरणा देने वाला हो गया.
Because when there's an example in front of you, it gives inspiration to others.
ये तुम नाम दादी का ले रही हो, काम बाबा का कर रही है.
You're mentioning Dadi's name, but it's God's work that's happening.
Really, नाम मेरा ले.
Daddy अभी योग करना है.
हाँ,
योग करेंगे अभी.
योग करें.
जी.
अच्छा, पहले योग नहीं तो काम किया.
Saying to Daddy, it's time for yoga, meditation now. And she said, but all this has been yoga.
योग क्योंकि ये अच्छा है. योग क्या है वो तो आप स्पष्ट करो। वो योग का जो बल मिलता है ना, वो प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में अच्छे कर्म कराता है। जो कुछ पास्ट में तो गलत हो गया, भगवान ने माफ किया, खुद के रियलाइजेशन से चेंज हो गया।
Yoga means connection with God, and when there's that connection with the Almighty, you draw power into your life, and as a result of that power, your actions are pure and elevated. And even if there have been mistakes in the past, with the realization of what you've done, God can forgive you through that power of yoga.
जीवन में रियलिटी आती है ना, रियलाइजेशन से रियलाइज होता है अंदर, ये राइट है, वही करना है, ये रॉन्ग है, नहीं करना।
When there's realization, then I know, yes, this is right, I have to do it, this is wrong, I will not do it. Okay. I'll share a few thoughts and invite you to join us in that journey inwards. Reflecting on the things that have been shared, the understanding that I'm a soul, a being of light, a being of peace. As I come to that awareness of my own spiritual identity, I connect with the divine, the one above, the Almighty, and from the source of light and love, I draw that within myself. God's light touches the soul and fills it with purity and truth. God's love heals the soul so that all sorrow and pain is removed, and the soul is filled with joy. And from the ocean of peace, not only do I receive peace, but the power of peace reaches out into the world so that the entire human family is touched with peace. And peace reaches out and touches all forms of life. Peace reaches out and touches the elements of nature. And nature returns to a state of harmony again. And from the peace of the ocean of peace, peace returns to the entire world. I I stay connected to the one above. Filling myself with light and love, with that might and peace. So that I too may be an instrument to share this with others. Om Shanti.
Watching from the windows, all those years outside looking in, all that time never even knowing just how blind I've been. Now you're here standing in the starlight, now you're here, suddenly I see. Standing here, it's all so clear, I am where I'm meant to be. And at last I've seen the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I've seen the light, and it's like the sky is new, and it's warm and real and bright, and the world has somehow shifted. All at once, everything is different now that I see you. Daydream, all those years living in a blur, all that time never even knowing things the way they were. Now you're here shining in the starlight, now you're here, suddenly I see. Standing here, it's all so clear, I am who I'm meant to be. And at last I
ਦਾ ਗੀਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਨੈਚੁਰਲ
Daddy's been
Baba.
hearing him sing since he... Daddy's been hearing Minal sing since he was very young. And she's asking Minal to share a few lines of a Hindi song. That's putting Minal on the spot.
so my
That really is putting me on the spot, seeing as I don't speak Hindi. I'm just gonna start singing and see what comes out. ओ बचपन के दिन भुला न देना ओ बचपन के दिन भुला न देना आज हंसे कल रुला न देना आज हंसे कल रुला न देना ओ बचपन के दिन भुला न देना ओ बचपन के दिन भुला न देना Thank you.
So, thank you, Minal, for two beautiful songs. I understood the first one. Did you feel the light? Have you seen the light this evening? I hope so. I don't know about you, Pablo. It's very difficult to sum up because I really like to thank Liz because such insightful comments and questions. Amazing. Big round of applause to Liz. And I think, Liz, now you have to leave us because Liz is actually going to be in reception at the bookshop available to sign copies of her new book, A Century of Service, that we've heard so much about this evening. And you'll be led that way by the ushers on the way out, so you'll have that opportunity to meet Liz again. Okay. So thank you very much. And obviously a very, very big thank you to Daddy. And sorry, a very big thank you to God.
Yeah, get that right.
Yeah. And to Daddy for being the best instrument.
Not Daddy, God.
आज का प्रोग्राम में वंडर का अभी नहीं हुआ है दाल में सब
It's a very special program that's happened tonight. Never before like this.
वो है तो
जी.
Pavan is
Bella?
Daddy's dentist.
No.
उठूं
Daddy was just mentioning that she's never had a program like this here in this auditorium before, so she was appreciating it, and she wants to introduce Pavan because he's her dentist.
Part-time.
क्या
I think we can leave this for later, I think. A more personal conversation.
ठीक हो गया
He's done some great work on my teeth as well, actually.
As Daddy would say, it's God's inspiration. I just go
मधुबन
quiet.
में बहुत फायदा लिया
He was in Mount Abu a few
मधुबन
days
से क्या फायदा
earlier
लिया
and took a lot of benefit, spiritual benefit there.
Yeah, Daddy was right. In Mount Abu, when I went recently, the one thing I felt was God's love and the love of the family. And like we started the
माइक लो
program.
ना
Daddy, Mike hair.
Hair, Mike. Hair.
इसको भी शायद दे
And like with Daddy's theme, it's all about love and the love that God brings to herself, and it touches everybody. And when you walk in Madhuban in India, where the main headquarters are, all the souls, all the brothers, all the family, you can feel that love just flowing everywhere, and that's the flavor I came back with. And of course you. Okay, so before we carry on the program, I want to invite Amit Agrawal, who wants to honor Dadi on her 100th birthday. Amit's from the Art of Living, and is a special friend of ours, a special friend of mine, also a dentist, and born on the same day as me.
It's very pretty, very pretty. So, and of course a big thank you to Sister Janki tonight as well. As many of you know, Sister Janki is herself an accomplished spiritual leader, and humble in her role tonight translating for Dadi, but it's been great to have obviously both of you here. So just a couple of things to say in closing. First of all, thank you to all of you for coming this evening, and to those of you who've been watching in the conference hall and on the webcast, thank you for joining us as well. I just also wanted to say, most of you probably know the activities of the university, but the main thing we offer are free courses, particularly in meditation, Raj Yoga meditation, but also other courses like positive thinking, self-esteem, overcoming anger. I know none of you need that here tonight, of course, but all of the information is available in the events guide and the leaflet rack you probably saw in reception, and all of the courses and events are offered free of charge. So I hope you've been inspired by what you've heard this evening and will take the opportunity to explore some of those events and courses for yourself. I know for me and Pavan 12 years ago, and speaking as a once complete atheist and Westerner 12 years ago, yeah, it is the vibrations, it's the love, and not just Dadi, but lots of students who've studied Raj Yoga, really giving that inspiration and feeling of love and a completely different impression of what spirituality, love and God actually mean on a very practical level. So I'd really encourage you to explore that. Also, we have one last treat, don't we, Pavan?
Ah, yes, we have.
One last treat.
So we've had a lot of food for the spirit, a lot of food for the mind. Now we're going to have a little thing called Toli.
What's that? Toli?
Toli. It's normally sweet, can be savoury sometimes, but it's a little bit of food made in vibrations. That Daddy talked about vibrations, and Matt talked about vibration. It's made in meditation. And that meditation will bring together love, peace, and it goes into whatever we create. And you're going to get a little piece of that. So when you taste it, you'll feel that sweetness that's in that vibration that goes into the mouth and makes it taste so sweet.
And also a little blessing card which has something that's true about you, something to reflect on. Even if you don't believe it does reflect who you really are at the moment, it does. So take the opportunity to keep that close to your heart and read it every day, and it will work. It will work its wonders. So I believe that Sister Janki and Dadi are going to be coming to the front, and I think the ushers will be guiding you. Because there's so many here, I'd ask you to be patient. I think the ushers will guide you one row at a time. So if I could ask you to follow their guidance. And when you come forward to take Toli, either from Dadi or Sister Janki, please reach your hand right out so that they don't have to reach towards you, because you can imagine your arm gets quite tired after 600 times. And take the opportunity also to make eye contact with Dadi, because it's just that exchange of personal exchange, that exchange of love that's so precious. So I'll leave you in the very capable hands of the ushers, and from Pavan and I, Thank you once again for being with us. Have a safe trip
journey
home. And see you soon. Thank you.